Hi, welcome to Bourne Windows to the Past. I'm Skip Barlow, and I'm sitting in for Mavis Robinson, who is the normal host of this show, but she's stuck on Nantucket right now, so we're having a Halloween Northeaster, which is pretty typical for this part of the country. And I'm here today with Lydia Manter, and she's a Bournedale, I'm not going to say lifelong resident, but she's a longtime resident of the village of Bournedale. And she's really involved in the community, and she has some serious roots here with her family. And welcome.
Thank you for having me today.
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
I've really been looking forward to this. There's a lot of things that you know that I don't know, and I'm sure a lot of people in town would like to know. I know you have a background with the Native Americans.
Yes.
You are a Native American. And could you enlighten us a little bit? I mean, I know you've got a real serious background and real important piece of history.
Well, I came to Bournedale in 1982, and I got married to Wayne Manter. I'm sure we're neighbors. You know Wayne, and he's Wampanoag, native to the area. And we started our life in Bournedale, and I also have Native roots myself from the South. My family is from Kentucky, but I also have relatives in Oklahoma, and I'll talk more about that. But what would you like to know? What can I share with you?
Well, I'm sure you're going to share a whole lot with me, but I do want to tell you, I went to school with Wayne Manter as a young person too.
Okay.
And most people that come to town from somewhere else do not realize when we were young and we were in school, we didn't know the difference between a Native American and an American. There was no delineation there at all. We were all kids in school. That's pretty much the way it was. Okay. And I never realized even that he was a Native American till he told me, and I believe it was after he became a chief.
Oh,
so I mean, it's been a long time.
Right,
you
right.
know?
Well, I believe he became chief somewhere around 1995 of the Herring Pond tribe, and it was 1996 that I wore this dress at the Mashpee powwow, and we represented the Herring Pond tribe that year at the powwow, and we were announced as Chief Little Bear and Princess Whispering Fox. The thing is, most people know Wayne that way as Wampanoag and native to Bournedale, but what I also learned early on that we have cultural backgrounds that are coming from all directions, say. So Wayne is part Wampanoag, but he also is a Mayflower descendant. Wow. So we have ancestors from England as well, and it's the same in my family. So Wayne helped me learn a little bit about embracing all of our ancestors and everything that we're a culmination of many, many people.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that the families that were here during the colonial times, and not just Wayne's, but there's a whole bunch of families that they were Mayflower descendants, and they were here in the early colonial times. And no matter what has happened, they haven't left. They've managed to stay here one way or another through the economic times and the hardships and I know that you particularly are involved in a lot of different things. You brought a lot of things to show us. If you'd like to explain different pieces of Native American regalia, I would love to see it, and I'm sure the viewers would love to see it.
Here's a picture. Should I hold it out like this? This is a picture of my husband, Wayne.
Okay.
And he's wearing a beautiful ribbon shirt, and this picture was taken in 2008. And we had just come home from Walters, Oklahoma. We were visiting my Aunt Kathy and my Uncle Keith Red Elk, and we went to the Comanche homecoming powwow, and this was a gift from my Uncle Keith.
So Red Elk is as in Red Elk, that would be his Native American.
Yes, yes. And we also had a nice visit at Fort Sill while we were there, because he's also a descendant of Quanah Parker. So it was a wonderful historic trip, and we brought my son along. We had this great road trip. So that's where he might wear this at many different occasions and events, and it was a beautiful gift to have. This is a picture of me with my friend at the Mashpee powwow when I first wore my dress. And this is the friend that helped me make the dress.
Yeah, so you made that dress. It's
Yes,
not
I
off
did.
the shelf. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's made with sheepskin.
And you know, that'll last, as you know, for hundreds of years.
It
I'm
will.
sure you'll pass it down to your sons,
Yes,
through
absolutely,
your son's family
definitely.
as time goes on. And it will be a piece of your family history. It's really beautiful.
These are moccasins that were given to me as a gift by a relative and a friend, Sandy Texera, and she lives right over on Head of the Bay Road. And
Wow.
it was a very nice gift. She's an
Yeah.
elder of the tribe. This picture is, I thought I'd bring this along. This picture is of Wayne's aunt and uncle, and this is Princess Bluefeather. She was a Mashpee matriarch, but she married Wayne's uncle, Chief Whitefeather. And they are buried over at the Indian Cemetery in Bournedale. And she had a great influence upon my life as a young woman, and I think of her often.
I'm sure you do. And it's nice to have your history right, right there where you are. I mean, you can visit the cemetery at will. You can think about them. You can ponder the past. You can, do whatever you'd like.
That's primarily, I would say, the most important lesson, if you will, that I learned living in Bournedale with Wayne and his family, is that your home is where your ancestors are. So in other words, our home or our house, it's not just a house on a street in a neighborhood that you would sell and just move to another neighborhood. Culturally and religiously, you need to be where your people were from, so where your ancestors were from. So it becomes part of you, and you're part of it, if that
I
makes sense
can
to you.
understand this. You and I are on the same page here, but our town now is made up of people, not made up entirely, but we have a whole different groups of people. We have Air Force retired people who retired here from the Air Force, from the base.
Sure. Yeah.
And then we've got a new, I'm not going to say a new generation because it's an older generation of people who are moving here who are retired. And it has to be hard for them to leave the place where they grew up and their family ties to come here to live because it's basically more reasonable.
Sure. I think that some people are more rooted into that than others. But with the Wampanoag culture, and my husband being a traditionalist, it really means everything to him.
I'm sure it
and so
does.
he passed that on to me, and I've learned, and my son is similarly.
Yeah. Well, in your conversation, you said you took your son with you out to Oklahoma, and what's better than that? Really?
I know it was a wonderful trip for many reasons. Visiting family, but also learning history and learning more about who he is. My son is 17 now. He was 8 when we took that journey, and recently he's a musician, a local musician, and he's ready to produce an album shortly. And he is producing an EP of an acoustic EP, and he needed a name for his recording studio. And I thought the name that he selected for it really shows what he had learned. So he named his recording studio the Lolami Recording Studio. And he's bringing his ancestors with him because the Lolami is a translation meaning can do from native, I forgot.
That's okay.
I forgot which.
No problem.
What
Nope.
but it was the insignia of the 68th Coast Artillery, which is my father's battalion from World War II, and he was stationed in Camp Edwards. And I said, what a lovely way of remembering that. I said, bring your ancestors with you. It'll bring you luck in your future endeavors, So I thought
Wow, that is
that was an
excellent.
excellent example.
Yeah.
It's
It is.
Navajo. It's a Navajo translation.
So I knew he had some musical background because I met him at the Historic Center
Right.
maybe a year or two ago. I'm not really good with my memory and time.
That's okay.
You know, time's really.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, it was a couple of years back.
Yeah, and
Right.
I'm glad that he's continuing with his career. And
Yeah, he's
know.
multi-instrumental. He
Yeah.
plays the piano, the guitar, and the trumpet. Again, thinking of his grandfather, both grandfathers were World War II veterans, and he decided to sound taps. So that's another thing that he loves to do. He likes to go over to the base and sound taps for ceremonies or for military funeral honors, which I think it's a wonderful thing for him to do.
absolutely,
So,
it's really, you know, it's just really good that he's involved, and he.
yes.
So many teenagers nowadays only want to play the Game Boy. I'm telling you, it drives me crazy.
Well, he does that too, but he does
Yeah,
other things.
but he has something else.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's hard to find that something else.
Right.
I think all kids would have something else, but
Oh.
they don't get there. They don't get away from the Game Boy or the
Right.
whatever
It's
it is.
his-
I don't even know anymore. I'm
Yeah.
really low tech.
That's okay. Well, it's his passion, and we wanted to help him develop that and see where
Yeah.
that would take him. So,
His passion might take him all the way through his life.
yes, hopefully.
Hopefully. I mean, that would
Hopefully.
be really, really good, you know?
Right. Here's another interesting picture. This is Wilson Harding in Bournedale, and this was one of Wayne's uncles, and it's a very interesting picture.
It is, and
With
you
the
know, the Harding
headdress
family, the Harding family in Bournedale is probably the best known in my generation, at least, of the Native Americans. I knew that you know, the Native Americans I did know from Bournedale were mostly Hardings and Greens, and
Yes.
I knew Wayne. I didn't realize he was part of that family. Which
Yes,
is,
he is. He's
you
really,
know, it just shocked me. But that's an excellent picture. And
Yeah.
you know what kind of car that is?
I don't.
That's a Model A.
Is that a model?
That's a Model A, and it's.
What year?
I'm going to guess it's around a 30, maybe a 31. The 29s generally had a spare tire on the fender, but it was on the driver's side, so I'm not sure. But somewhere between 28 and 31. And
Right.
he was so young.
He was. Yes,
Yeah.
he was in that. And
Yeah.
and I was very close with his wife Mary.
Really?
Yes, years ago. Yeah, we were very friendly, very close, and that was before Brandon, before we had our son. Here's another picture. This one is of my husband. It's 1986, the year we bought our home, and that is our street. So
That's
you
Clarissa
wouldn't-
Joseph
yes,
Road.
you wouldn't recognize it today as that, but that is our street.
Doesn't the far end of it still, toward the development, still look a little like
A little
this?
bit like
Little,
that.
just a little bit. Just
a
a
little
little
bit.
bit.
We have a little section that looks
Yeah.
about the same, and then it's, you know, very built up. But that was a very interesting experience, I must say. When at that time we were within 100 acres of property with just a few houses dotted in, and I'll never forget that experience. The quietness,
Yeah.
the animals. I learned a lot about animals. I don't know how to track, but Wayne does. So he taught me some things about that. I would not have, traded that experience
Most
for anything.
people don't
but
realize, that is really a beautiful part of town.
It is. It's gorgeous.
And actually, they bought some of that land for conservation down by Three Rocks.
Yes, it's
And-
beautiful back
And it's
there,
conservation
beautiful.
land now all the way down to
Yeah,
Bournedale.
I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
A beautiful piece of property, and we have a lot of trails in town, but I don't believe there's any real trails there. That maybe just down at Three Rocks.
There are trails.
Are there?
There are still trails. There are Indian trails.
Oh, I know the Indian
All
trails in
little,
there.
that type of.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the town doesn't really have a conservation
No.
walking trail. That's all
They
I was
don't.
saying.
No, you're right. Not exactly like a formal trail,
What a beautiful piece of property.
but
though.
it is beautiful.
Especially this time of year.
It is. It is.
You must go by there and just marvel at the leaves, and up where you live, it's a little higher. And
Right.
there's more pines and less
we
maples.
I walk every day.
Good.
I do. The family, we love to walk the area. Here's another picture. This is Wayne again
Yeah.
at the Mashpee powwow.
Very photogenic.
96. Oh, thank you. He's wearing a different ribbon shirt. I made that ribbon shirt for him for that event.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were just a lot younger then, Skip. So.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Right. These are, well, they're antique clay marbles, but they are from the Herring Pond property. They were made by one of Wayne's relatives, Lydia Newcomb.
Mm-hmm.
She gave them to him. So those are, the clay
Yeah.
came from actually from Clay Hole, right off of Clarissa Joseph Road. And these are arrowheads that Wayne found.
Mm-hmm.
They say, you know, that arrowheads are found by those that are meant to find them. So if you don't find any, then you're
You
not
weren't meant to.
You weren't meant to. So he has the good luck with that.
That's good, though. Again, it's, you know, it's part of your heritage, and it's part of his heritage, and it's really important to kind of save it for the next generation.
It does. I feel that way. I love doing genealogical work.
Yeah.
So he started me, obviously, you know, with the native part of it, and then I became curious myself about his grandmother, and I said, let's try and find Ellen Cobb, and it turns out Ellen Cobb is the Mayflower descendant.
Yeah.
So she married. So I said, what an interesting interesting history. So now when we go to Plymouth, I think it has somewhat of a different significance to Wayne, because now he knows that his 10th great-grandparents were John Howland and Elizabeth Tilley.
Wow.
How interesting is this?
That is, and the Howland House still stands in Plymouth.
Yes, it does.
You know, and most people don't realize how far back that's still.
Right.
And actually, their boat, I believe, is the Elizabeth Tilley that they have that goes with that house. They have a little.
So we definitely celebrate Thanksgiving at our home in a number of ways. So we have turkey, and we embrace both of our cultures during that time, which I think is a wonderful thing, because that's who you are, and that's the thing we've tried to pass down to our son, to be proud of every part of who he is, and get to know who your ancestors are and who your people are, because it does give you a window into who you are.
Yeah, and so these bells. And you've got a little more regalia, if you don't mind showing it to us.
No, that's fine. These I wore with the dress. These are ankle bells.
Okay.
It was.
So they went with that dress.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're creating music wherever you go with the bugle beads and the bells. And this was a choker that I believe it's in the picture here that Wayne is wearing. I made this with these are actual deer bone.
Yeah.
And then I colored them with coffee, like a mixture of
Yeah.
coffee, and you can. So I made that.
That's really beautiful.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's you say you made it, but looking at it, it had to take you months, maybe a year.
Actually, it didn't.
Really?
It didn't really take me that long to make that.
Did you have a model to work from, or did you actually create?
I did, and my good friend
Yeah.
that's in this picture, her name is Pumuquian. We had worked together, and she is from the Nipmuc tribe and also from Mashpee, and she assisted and taught me how to make this. So
Wow.
we worked together on the dress. Sometimes you start off to make a piece, and it kind of creates itself. You don't know how it's going to turn out, but that's how
Yeah,
it
I've
is.
seen it happen in my life.
Right, you don't know. You can
You don't
plan
know.
it, but then it.
You have a vision,
Yeah.
and then what the actual product at the end is may not resemble the vision, but it's really nice.
Right. Right.
And it's nice that you do it yourself. It's just really creative. And,
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. I mean, do you ever put this up on display, like at the library or different places where?
I don't, but I can if people would like me to share that or share some of these experiences that we had, then sure, I would love to do that. Could do that.
Yeah, you know, there are a lot of, not a lot of opportunities, but there are opportunities that different, and not just Native Americans, but different groups get to present their past, and they do it sometimes at a library in the little room in the back. I don't know if they still do it. I used to do, I did one there on shellfish and fish one time, but you know, this is much, actually everything is important to the history of the area. And Bournedale really, it's not, Bournedale was there before, you know, Massachusetts, really. I mean, before the actual, you know, it's been here for a long time. And of course, Wayne's family's been here through the Native American tenure and then into the colonial tenure.
Yes, yes.
And even to now.
Yes.
And it's really a mixing bowl, this part of the country.
It is. It absolutely is. Well, we enjoy being at Herring Pond. I walk, as does Wayne, every day. So every day we're at Herring Pond, and you know, in the summer we like to swim. In the winter we take our walks. We're at the cemetery a lot. We go almost every day there. So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful area, and we love it. So we really love the land itself. We love our home, where it's situated. It's where, you know, his family has always been, and now it's my family. And
Does Wayne fish and ice fish on Herring Pond too?
he has. I'm not the expert on the ice fishing.
Yeah,
but
I'm not either.
The ice has to be a certain thickness, and according to him, it has not been cold enough, and we haven't had the proper ice in some time. But yeah, he loves to do that, and as a kid, you know, he has all these stories about ice fishing on the pond, and of course the herring, how thick the herring once were, and they would just. It was all black, and they were just flopping around, which is not, I guess, the case today. But
No, it's not. But even, you know, even when he was a kid and I was a kid, herring populations were huge compared to what they are now. And everybody wants to point a finger at somebody else responsible. I don't know. I know one thing: the Native Americans certainly weren't responsible for the decline in the herring. It was part of their life, and they survived. It was their sustenance.
Probably not. And I can only say what Wayne has pretty much taught me or passed down to me about those things. The way of thinking is to leave the least imprint that you can. So if you're hunting, take only what you need for that season, and be grateful for that. The same thing with our yard and our land. We have, it's very, very natural. So people sometimes will come over to our home and say, oh, you're in the middle of the woods, and we thought we'd be eaten alive by mosquitoes. And I'm like, no, we're not, because we have bats. We have a lot of bats. We have snakes. We don't particularly have a big problem with mice, because we have the snakes.
Yep.
So Wayne tries to keep everything in the yard in balance so that we use the least amount of anything chemical. We probably uses nothing at this time, I would say, and we have other neighbors who feel similarly, because we want to keep our environment clean, healthy, and our water clean. So I think that's what I learned the most, is sometimes just having a balance and letting nature sometimes taking care of itself. We don't need to intervene as much as I thought.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's really funny when you look at Herring Pond, which is, you know, it's fresh water. Eelgrass goes in Herring Pond. I don't know if you're aware of that, but eelgrass in Herring Pond is still, you know, 3 feet tall off the bottom, just like it was in the salt water 50 years ago here. And it's very dense, and the populations there weren't affected by the development that's happened on the coast, coastal development. And so scientists in Woods Hole referred to that as shoddy coastal development, which caused the loss of a lot of the eelgrass. And it didn't impact places like Herring Pond. I don't know why, but it just didn't. But there's no sewer plant, there's no outfall, there's none of that there. And, you know, if you don't have the water to drink, you're not going to make it.
No, that's something that we need to have. And
Yeah.
as you know, I was an opponent to any kind of chemical spraying around Herring River and the pond, and I really felt that it was absolutely beneficial to the neighborhood to try and take a stand on that.
I think you're
And
100%
we did,
right.
and we did, and we were successful in protecting that small area. Be it what it may, it is something. It's a help.
Actually, that whole area of town, a lot of people in town, for a variety of different reasons, have really felt that that area needs to be protected for different reasons, whether it's conservation reasons, for developmental reasons, for and the Native American cemetery there is so important. People don't understand how important it is. They really don't.
It's a historical
Site.
You know, it's historical is for Wampanoag history, and also Mayflower history, because now we're aware we have both. So I think it makes it extremely unique to have a cemetery with both.
Yeah, we're going to run out of time, but you know, people, you know, I know you realize, and I know Wayne realizes how important, besides the historic connection, just the fact that you can go there and what you feel and what he feels when you go there. It's a connection that a lot of people don't get. A lot of people don't get the connection that your past has to your existence today.
It's a wonderful feeling to make that connection. It really is. And I think if, you know, we all have really busy lives, but I think it's important if we try and take a piece of our day to have quiet, a little bit of solitude, to be in a place where, if you're fortunate enough, like we are, to be where our ancestors were or our family has lived for many years, and think about those things and what we've learned and what is passed down to us. And
well, you know, this itself is a product of the many years that you and Wayne have spent raising your family and just living your life. And I want to thank you for sharing this with the community. And I'm sure when, you know, you may do another show with Mavis, because I'm sure we only covered a very small piece of what you would like to talk about. And I want to thank you for coming in today, and I want to thank everybody for watching. And I want to encourage you to, you know.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you. And I'm really impressed with everything in your background, and I'm really impressed that Wayne became a chief, and he'll be a chief for the rest of his life.
Yes, even when a chief maybe retires officially from that post, they do carry the title for life.
Yeah, and you'll certainly be a princess for the rest of your life. And that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
That's very nice. Thank you for coming in.